I am so glad you are here today, because what we are going to talk about may genuinely change the way you think about something sitting quietly in your kitchen cabinet right now. Apple cider vinegar, or as many of you call it, ACV. Now, you have probably seen the videos. You have probably heard the advice, drink it before bed. But here is the thing. Nobody really explains why. Nobody slows down long enough to tell you what is actually happening inside your body when you do. And more importantly, nobody tells you when it could actually hurt you instead of help you. That changes today. We are going to walk through this together, all of it, so that by the time you finish watching this video, you will know exactly what ACV does, when to take it, how much to take, and what to watch out for. No shortcuts. No vague promises, just the real science, explained the way it deserves to be. So let us get into it. Before we talk about timing, morning, before meals, or before bed, we need to understand what apple cider vinegar actually does inside of you. Because the best time to take it depends entirely on what you are trying to fix. Let us start with digestion, because this is where ACV does some of its most powerful and most misunderstood work. Apple cider vinegar is an acid. It has a pH of roughly 2.5 to 3. That sounds intense, but compare it to your stomach acid, hydrochloric acid, which sits between pH 1 and 2. Now, because pH works on an exponential scale, that difference means your stomach acid is actually 30 to 100 times stronger than ACV. So, ACV does not digest your food on its own. What it does is something more elegant. It primes the system. Here is how it works. Inside your stomach, you have specialized cells called parietal cells. Their entire job is to produce hydrochloric acid. When ACV enters the picture, it stimulates those parietal cells. It wakes them up. And when they activate, they trigger the release of an enzyme called pepsin, which begins breaking down the proteins in your food. But it does not stop there. That initial activity in your stomach then signals the gallbladder to release bile, which is critical for breaking down fat. And it signals the pancreas to release its own arsenal of digestive enzymes, proteases for protein, lipases for fat, amylase for carbohydrates. One thing leads to another. ACV starts a cascade. Now, why does this matter so much? Because millions of people walk around with a condition called hypochlorhydria, which simply means they do not produce enough stomach acid. And when that happens, the entire cascade I just described breaks down. Food sits undigested. Nutrients cannot be properly absorbed. You can be eating well and still missing out on iron, calcium, magnesium, and protein, not because you are not eating them, but because your body cannot unlock them from the food. And here is the cruel irony. Low stomach acid is actually one of the most common causes of acid reflux. The burning sensation, the discomfort, most people assume that means they have too much acid. But in the majority of cases, it is the opposite. When food is not broken down properly, it sits in the stomach, ferments, and pushes back up. ACV can actually help fix the problem people think it would make worse. Now, let us talk about something that is very close to my heart: blood sugar. Because if I had to name one silent epidemic quietly damaging people's lives right now, it would be chronically elevated blood sugar and insulin resistance. The active compound in apple cider vinegar is called acetic acid, and acetic acid has a remarkable ability to slow down gastric emptying, which means food moves more slowly from your stomach into your small intestine. That slowing effect means carbohydrates get absorbed more gradually. Blood sugar rises less sharply. Your pancreas does not have to work as hard. The spike that normally follows a meal becomes a gentle wave instead. Research has shown that taking apple cider vinegar before a meal can increase insulin sensitivity by up to 34%. And that effect is even more pronounced in people who already have insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, the people who need it the most. Think about what that means for a moment. Up to a third more efficient use of insulin, from a tablespoon of something you can buy at any grocery store. I am not saying this replaces medical treatment, but I am saying this is real, measurable, documented, and worth knowing. Let me introduce you to something called AMPK, adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase. I know that sounds like something from a biology exam. Stay with me, because this is genuinely fascinating. Your body runs on energy. The primary energy currency it uses is called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Think of ATP as a fully charged battery. When your body uses that energy, the battery discharges, and you end up with AMP, adenosine monophosphate, which is like a depleted battery. AMPK is the sensor that monitors this ratio. When AMP is high relative to ATP, when the batteries are running low, AMPK activates. And when AMPK activates, it does something beautiful. It signals the body to start burning fat for fuel. It suppresses fat storage. It boosts energy production. It is essentially your body's metabolic emergency response system. Acetic acid, the active compound in ACV, activates AMPK. That is how ACV supports fat burning. It does not burn fat directly, but it nudges your metabolism toward a state where fat burning becomes the preferred option. On top of that, ACV increases levels of a hormone called GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1, which is a satiety hormone. It signals fullness. It tells your brain, "We are good. You do not need more food right now." Less hunger, more fat burning. That is a powerful combination. Here is one more thing ACV does that does not get talked about nearly enough. It supports your gut microbiome. Acetic acid is actually a short-chain fatty acid, and short-chain fatty acids are produced naturally by beneficial gut bacteria and consumed by other beneficial bacteria. So when you take ACV, you are essentially feeding your gut's good actors. It acts as a prebiotic. Beyond that, ACV contains organic acids that stimulate beneficial bacterial strains and inhibit the harmful ones. And if you choose an unfiltered organic apple cider vinegar, the kind with that cloudy sediment at the bottom, you are also getting what is called the mother. That murky substance is rich in enzymes and probiotic bacteria that support your gut ecology directly. Gut health shapes everything: your immunity, your mood, your energy, your ability to absorb nutrients. Taking care of it is never a small thing. All right, now that we understand what ACV does, we can talk about timing. And this is where it gets practical. The answer is not one size fits all. The best time to take ACV depends on your personal health goals and what your body needs most. Let us go through each option. First thing in the morning, on an empty stomach. This primes your entire digestive system for the day ahead. Even if you are not eating breakfast immediately, you are waking up the machinery. You are clearing any undigested residue from the night before, a kind of internal housekeeping. You are also giving your gut microbiome an early feed, and you are triggering that fat-burning AMPK response before you have eaten anything. This is a solid choice if your primary focus is energy, metabolism, or gut support. Before a meal. This is arguably the most impactful time. You want to take it 15 to 30 minutes before you eat. This is when ACV does its most complete work, enhancing digestion, improving nutrient absorption, and critically, blunting the blood sugar spike that follows a meal. If you are eating a higher carbohydrate meal, this is especially important. Before bed, and now we arrive at the topic of today's video, taking ACV before bedtime primarily supports two things: gut health, which you already understand, and blood sugar regulation overnight. This is especially relevant for people who wake up with elevated morning blood sugar, a phenomenon sometimes called the dawn phenomenon or the Somoji effect. If your numbers are high first thing in the morning, despite eating well the night before, nighttime ACV may be worth exploring. It can also improve sleep quality in some people, because when blood sugar is more stable through the night, your body is not jolted awake by fluctuations. Fewer disturbances, deeper rest. But, and I need you to hear this clearly, if you tend toward hypoglycemia, meaning your blood sugar drops too low, taking ACV before bed is not the right move for you. It can push your blood sugar lower during the night, disrupting your sleep and potentially causing symptoms. If you wake up frequently, feel shaky in the night, or sweat excessively during sleep, please talk to your doctor before trying this. Now let us talk about how much to take, because more is absolutely not better here. In the morning, on an empty stomach, 1 tablespoon, that is 15 milliliters, diluted in 8 to 16 ounces of water. That dilution is not optional. The acid in ACV can irritate your esophagus and erode tooth enamel if taken straight. Always dilute. Before a meal, 1 tablespoon in the same amount of water if your meal is low in carbohydrates. If you are eating a higher carb meal and want the blood sugar benefit to be stronger, you can double it to 2 tablespoons. But if you double the ACV, you must double the water too. That means 16 to 32 ounces of water, which is quite a bit. You want to drink it all and allow at least 20 to 30 minutes before eating, so your stomach is not waterlogged when food arrives. Before bed, use less. This is where most advice gets it wrong. Many videos will tell you to take 2 tablespoons before bed. That is too much for most people in the evening, especially if there is any tendency toward reflux. At night, you want to start with just 1 teaspoon, 5 milliliters, in a small glass of water. You can slowly increase over time if needed, but many people find 1 teaspoon is plenty. And here is something practical. If you are worried about reflux when lying down, you do not have to take the ACV right before you close your eyes. If you eat dinner at 6 and go to bed at 10, taking your ACV at 8 or 9 is perfectly fine. You will still get the overnight benefits. The body is not that rigid about timing. As a general daily ceiling, do not exceed 6 tablespoons, which is about 90 milliliters total across the day. And if you are adding up all your potential doses, 1 tablespoon in the morning, 1 tablespoon before each of 2 meals, 1 teaspoon at night, you are looking at about 3.3 tablespoons. That is well within a safe and beneficial range. Before we go any further, your teeth. Acetic acid softens tooth enamel. This is a real risk if you take ACV carelessly. Here is how to protect yourself. Always dilute it. Always rinse your mouth with plain water right after drinking it, and wait at least 30 minutes before brushing your teeth. Brushing too soon on softened enamel is like scrubbing a wet chalkboard. You can cause real damage. You can also drink it through a straw to minimize contact with your teeth. Small habit, significant protection. Now, what about the taste? Look, I will be honest with you. Apple cider vinegar is not a drink that people line up for at restaurants. Some people genuinely enjoy the tang. Others find it nearly impossible to get down. Here is what works for me and many of my patients. Dilute it generously. Squeeze in a little fresh lemon juice. Add a few drops of liquid stevia, just enough to soften the sharpness. And, if you like it fizzy, use sparkling water instead of still. A few ice cubes, and suddenly it almost feels like a refreshing drink, not a chore. Let us talk about what can go wrong, because that is part of the honest conversation. GI irritation. If you feel burning in your stomach or throat after taking ACV, that is your body telling you to back off. Reduce the dose. Increase the dilution. Do not push through it. Start with a teaspoon and work up slowly. Tooth enamel erosion. We covered this. Dilute, rinse, wait before brushing. Mineral imbalance. Excessive amounts of acetic acid over time can deplete potassium and disrupt calcium and magnesium balance, which can contribute to bone loss. I want to share one case that really stuck with me. A woman consumed 250 milliliters of ACV, over 17 tablespoons, every single day for 6 years. At the end of that time, she had severe potassium deficiency and significant bone loss. That is an extreme case, but it illustrates perfectly, more is not better. Stick to the doses we have discussed, and you are nowhere near that territory. Here is something that surprises a lot of people. You do not always need to take separate apple cider vinegar to get these benefits. If you dress your salad with wine vinegar or balsamic vinegar, you have already gotten your acetic acid for that meal. You do not need to add ACV on top. Same with hot sauce. Many hot sauces are 30 to 50% vinegar by volume. If you toss a serving of wings and hot sauce at dinner, you may have already used up your vinegar allocation for that meal. And while I prefer apple cider vinegar, particularly the unfiltered organic kind, for its enzymes and probiotic content, plain white distilled vinegar contains the same acetic acid. It gives you about 90% of the metabolic benefit. If cost is a concern, buying distilled white vinegar in bulk is a perfectly valid strategy. The expensive artisan bottle is not required. I want to leave you with something important. You are watching this because you care about your health, and that matters more than you know. Every choice you make, every small habit you build, adds up. Apple cider vinegar is not a magic cure. It is not going to undo years of damage overnight. But it is a simple, accessible, evidence-supported tool that your body can genuinely benefit from when used correctly. So figure out your main reason for trying it. Is it digestion? Blood sugar? Sleep quality? Gut health? Weight? Start there. Pick the timing that fits your goal. Start with a small dose. Be consistent. And pay attention to how your body responds, because your body always tells the truth. And if you have conditions like diabetes, are on medications that affect blood sugar, or have a history of GI problems, please talk to your healthcare provider before adding this to your routine. I say that not to scare you, but because you deserve personalized guidance, not just general advice. If this video was helpful to you, share it with someone who could use it. Hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need this information. Subscribe if you have not already, and ring that notification bell so you never miss what we share next. Until next time, take care of yourself. You deserve it.